Fred here, welcome back to the Gear Obsession channel. In this episode we will be taking a look at the Nathan's Irreducible Complexity Knife, so stay tuned. Yes, you heard that right, the Nathan's Irreducible Complexity Knife. But most of you probably know this knife as the Nirk. But that's what Nirk stands for. Anyway, this is a really cool, inexpensive knife from a very innovative knife designer by the name of Glenn Klecker. So let's go ahead and open this up and take a close look. This knife comes in the standard Crkt box, which is a trick opening box. I've watched videos where people would try to open the box on the side and they would inevitably just rip the crap out of the box. What you got to do is just pull here. See that? Flips open. It's a trick box. Here is the knife. You also get a mini catalog. We'll go ahead and put that aside because we want to look at the knife. So immediately you can see this is a very, very unique knife. And now you're going to understand what that whole irreducible complexity thing's all about. This knife is made with the fewest parts possible, making it a very elegant and minimalistic design. It's absolutely incredible. There's really like just three components to this knife, and that is the blade itself here. You have the handle, which is also the locking mechanism. You don't have a separate lock bar and pins, and if you notice there's no pins and screws all throughout the handle or springs or anything, because the handle incorporates all those functions. But you do have a pivot screw. Also, technically, you do have some washers in there also, and there is a clip. So let's go ahead and go down the specs really quick. Overall length of this knife is 7.63 inches. Closed length is 4.5 inches. And the weight is 3.5 ounces. The blade material, or I'm sorry, the blade length is 3.125 inches. And the thickness is 0.131 inches. I know these specs are pretty boring. Now the blade material, now sit back folks, because this is the one spec that probably most of you, especially those who are who know knives pretty well, are gonna just go wow. The blade material is 2CR13, which is a very, very cheap Chinese steel. It's about the equivalent of 420 for US steel. It's about a similar. The HRC, the hardness of this blade is between 51 and 53, which is pretty soft for blade steel. But the next thing I'll tell you is it'll sort of even things out. This is a $15 knife, folks. This is a very inexpensive utilitarian / light duty EDC blade. So if you put it into that category, yeah, it's still a little bit low, but it's adequate, and it's appropriate for the type of knife and price of the knife that it is. Wow, I can't talk today. Anyway, this is a satin finish, but they make a black version. The blade itself is considered a utilitarian drop point. It has a hollow grind about halfway up, and you can see they left some flat material here so you could clamp on a sharpening device if that's the type of sharpener you have. Again, keeping to the irreducible complexity mentality, you don't have a separate thumb stud that's screwed on or anything like that. You just have a Spyderco type of hole in the blade. You also have a nice swedge here to help with any kind of stabbing you need to do. But the blade is really nice. I mean, you have a nice full belly right there. It's a pretty nice blade as far as the blade shape. Good utilitarian blade. Now, this is a plain edge. The handle material is 3CR13, so you actually got slightly better Chinese blade or handle material. It's actually that class of material is very normal for liners and things like that for knives. It's the equivalent of 420 J2, which you'll see listed as liners a lot. As far as the lock, it's incorporated into the frame. It's really cool. It's a lock back. You see that? See that going up right there? This whole thing has been cut out in such a way so it pivots. And it pivots in such a way that, like, if you just had a straight up just a pivot point right here, you could possibly have an issue when you're gripping the knife like this. But this is designed in such a way with all these cutouts that when you grip this knife, you're actually making it hold even more. You're actually aiding in pressing it down. In order to release this, you really got to press all the way back here. If I try to press here, you see it's not going up. You have to come all the way back here to go ahead and get this to release. Really, really neat. As far as the clip goes, the clip is only tip down, right-handed only. It's not the other side. And and just so you know, if you think that you get it, if you notice there's like a curve here, so there's no way to get it to work on the other side. And also, if you do take this apart, there's it's not a perfect circle. There's like a little notch, so one of these screws have a notch to keep it from spinning, so when you adjust it and tighten the other side, it doesn't just freewheel and spin. And I think the clip also inside has something to keep it from moving back and forth. Now, one other thing to note, this frame material here is actually stamped, this metal frame, and you can see how it's sort of bent over right there. So it's actually, when this is made, it's like you would have to butterfly this open. You would have the probably a machine with a die that comes down and just stamps out the metal, and then it gets bent in the shape, and then they just put the blade in and put the pivot screw through the middle. It is absolutely ingenious, and it must make manufacturing, I would guess, pretty simple. But this is just flat out an amazing, innovative design by Glenn Klecker. Now I'd like to go ahead and just do my standard knife tests here. So let's check for play. I don't have any up or down or side-to-side play on this knife. Let's go ahead and close this and check for blade centering. And look at that. It's centered perfect. This is actually amazing for a $15 knife that's just sort of folded together. This almost, I'm almost want to call this the AK-47 of knives, because the AK-47 is made out of stamped, or you have stamped receivers, and this is sort of the same type of design as far as that's concerned, as far as the way the materials are put together. Okay, let's see, what else should we test here? I have some paper. We could do a paper cut test. Now, again, the blade steel, that's my only gripe, and it does come sharp out of that Trick CRKT box. Actually, it's very, very sharp. That went through very easy. That's yep, grips the nail really good. That's amazingly sharp. Now, because of that blade steel, all I got to say is, if you plan on using this for something other than extremely light work, just I always carry one of these anyway. I always carry some sort of small sharpener, because it probably will get dull. I mean, I don't know from actual use, but pretty much that steel, the 2CR is going to get dull. And I'm going to talk a little more about that here very shortly when we go ahead and give this knife its final grade. By the way, I know it's hard to read this because the lighting and the satin finish, but it says Crkt Nirk patent pending, and this is model 5180. By the way, Nirk, which stands for Nathan, is Mr. Klecker's son. Really cool. So again, that's Nathan. Irreducible. Oh man, Irreducible complexity knife. All right, next thing we're going to do is go ahead and do a quick stab test. Make sure that the tip doesn't break off easily. This is saw pine. Wow, I took out the edge there. So we get that in there pretty good. And we'll rock it a little bit. Again, in there good. Look, even took out a little chunk there. And let's see how the cheap steel stood up. I gotta reach over here and put my camera in autofocus so I could bring this up real close and we could take a look at that tip and see how well the tip endured. And there you go. Even cheap steel does fine. See that? Again, this is a you know, light to medium duty. I wouldn't push it anymore. Good EDC, and I'll tell you what, if you are a new collector of knives and you're looking for something inexpensive and extremely, I mean extremely unique, this is the freaking knife. This is just this is one of my favorite knives because I just love things that are simple, minimalistic. Really, really cool. So, do I recommend this knife? Yes, I do. I give it a grade of 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. It loses a point because of the blade steel. In typical CRKT fashion, it's about 1 grade under what it should be for the price. That's how I've always looked at CRKT. Now, if you feel that particular steel, which, I mean, I stabbed wood there, and it, you know, even the tip didn't break, so I'm pretty impressed. But if you feel like this steel is like a deal breaker for you, which I think is insane for $15, you can always get a different version of this, but it's sort of, well, there is a version called the Nirk, tie. And it's basically a collaboration between Glenn Klecker and Brian Ty, I hope I'm saying his name right, where it takes this basic design and adds all these nice blue insert accents, and it puts in a bearing type of pivot screw in there, and the steel is AUS 8, and you could probably find it on Amazon for $80, and it's you know, I mean, if you just want to get something better because you got more money, but for a budget-conscious collector, this guy, I'd rather have this than the expensive one because this is true to the innovative design and being extremely minimalistic. I just love that in everything in my life. I'd rather have it nice and simple. Where can you get this? Well, actually, the cheapest place is to go on Glenn Klecker's website. I'll go ahead and put the link below, and you can check out this knife and all his other innovative designs. I highly recommend you check them out. This is just so cool. Did I leave my camera in autofocus? Oh, cool. And you can see how that works. Again, you could go up here. It's not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. You got to press way back here. You holding this anywhere else, you're helping it tighten it down, and how he figured that out is just amazing. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me here at the Gear Obsession channel. I really appreciate every friend, viewer, subscriber, and I hope you have a awesome evening. Take care. Bye.